Hi YouTube, this video is kind of like a shout out to John Capps. What a great guy. A while back, it's been some time ago, he sent me a knife blank and some handle scale wood, which I've already traced, and I traced the profile of the tang of the knife onto the handle scales, and then I used a small hand saw called a coping saw to trim it, and I left it large on purpose. You know, it overhangs a little bit. You can kind of see I cut on the outside of the line, if that'll focus. Alright, and left it a little wider so I could sand it down. So I've got one hole drilled for the pin, but I figured I would kind of show you that you don't have to have all the fancy tools. All I have is a Black & Decker cordless drill, and I'm going to be using a Black & Decker belt sander. I don't have all the stand-up cool stuff like Tom Chitwood and them have. Robert over at Bluegrass, I don't have that stuff, so I'm using what I got, but I'm going to show you that you can still do it. So what I'm going to do is, these are the pins, the brass pins that he provided with the handle scales. They're 1/8 inch. Alright, I've got one drilled. I'm going to drill one here and one here, just with that, and I'll be back in a minute to show you what that looks like. Okay, so what I did was I drilled the 3 holes. Alright, and notice that I've only got it drilled on one side. What I'll do is I'll clamp the wood on the second piece on, and I'll drill those holes from through here so that all the pins line up perfectperfectly. And then I'm gonna have to sand over this on the small belt sander to make sure that it's, because you can't sand this once the scales are glued to the blade. By the way, the blade is unsharpened right now. You can see how flat it is, so I don't need to tape it up to be able to safely hold it without cutting myself. So you can see through those holes. Okay, I'm gonna clamp the other one on and drill through the other side, and I'll be back to show you what that looks like. John Capps, you rock, brother. Be right back. Okay, so you can see clean through. I put one side on, clamped it, drilled from the blade side through the wood. Then I put the other side on and clamped it and drilled from the wood through the hole already existing in the tang and out the other side. So now I should be able to just hold the 2 wood pieces together with the pins and clamps and take the blade out to round over this part that can't be sanded once the blade is glued to the scales. Alright, so again, you can see right through the hole. They're all like that, going clean through. And this is a job that is kind of easy to do so far. I mean, I'm out here in house slippers, sitting in sweatpants in my driveway. Alright, I'll be back in a minute after I pull those off and put them together and start sanding. Okay, so this is the blade blank, and I used 2 of 3 pins. They're really surprisingly well fitted to the second 2 holes. The first one's the first one I actually drilled out's a little bit loose. So because they fit so well, I don't have to do a clamp, I don't think, but I'm gonna for safety, you know, just because I don't want it to slip. So basically, you can see they're a little bit uneven, and I'll sand those to even, and then I'll round off the corners, kind of where my thumb shows it's rounded off, just by taking a belt sander, little handheld one, and laying it on the ground. And so I'll be back after I sand it to show you what that looks like. Alright, I got them nice and even where you can't even really feel the difference. So they're nice and even. That's going to be the outside, and that's going to be the outside. So now I've got to round off this edge only on both sides. And because you can't do that once it's mounted to the blade. So that's the next step. Okay, what I did was I pushed the pin to more or less flush on this side so that I could, it's not on, so that I could kind of rock it like that to round it and the pin not get in the way. So once I get this side done with the 60 grit for rough, and then I go to 340 for final, you know, to get a nice a nice smooth sanding, and then I'll push the pin back through here to flush on this side and do the same. Okay, being satisfied with, where's the camera? All right, being satisfied with that, I'm happy with it. Then I switched back to the 340 now to, give it a better sand. And I'm going to do that, and I'll be back. Okay, being satisfied with the rounding and hitting it with the 340 grit, I think it was. I think it was 340. I found it's a lot easier to round over your pins when you're sliding them in and out of these holes. Makes it easier. All right, so you can read the Made in the USA, and you can read the Remington. That's the rough right there, and I'll be able to take this to the sander to bring it down like I did this. And I'm thinking maybe I should polish this portion here before I glue it on. Oh, look at that. SRS Knives and Guns. It comes with jimping on the thumb wrap. Now, Tom Chitwood, who I have a lot of respect for his knife making skills, said that he likes to glue the scales on with Gorilla Epoxy. So that's what I got instead of the stuff that I had. Just pick some up. I believe that's it for this. I'll be back. Okay, where we're at now, I went ahead and cleaned it all up as best as I could, and I got the spine nice and sharpened down through the area that I won't be able to really get to once the handle's on as good. Now, on the pins, I told you I rounded off. Let me see if I can get this to focus. I rounded off one end. I guess I'll have to hold it down here so you can see it. I don't know. Anyway, I rounded off one end to make it go through easier. So the other end, I flattened it really well. And that'll try to push close to flush to the wood, which I'm about to mix up epoxy on this block of wood and put it together and clamp it. And I'll be back to show you what that looks like before it dries. Okay, I wish I'd have noticed sets in 5 minutes. I had to work really fast. Okay, so what I did, I got it epoxied well on the wood, and then stuck the what are they called, scales on, right? And then I kind of went flush with the pins, real close to flush, and left them proud on the other end because I could just trim that off with a Dremel when I get ready to sand it. So that's where we're at. I'm liking it so far. Should be set in 5 minutes, but I'm going to let it harden for a while. And I'll be back. Okay, so we've allowed it to 24 hours of curing time. I've got to trim these, and I'm going to trim them just a little bit long. See how that's kind of poking out a little bit? That way I can peen them. Just take a hammer and peen them down. So I'm going to do a little bit of sanding on this, and I'll come back to you. All right, now, as far as I know, the idea here is just to bring it down to the metal. So I'm going to see if I can get it to focus. See how I'm bringing it down to the metal so that it's nice and even. You can't really even feel the transition there. And then, of course, I'm doing it with 80 to eat off most of it, and then I'm going to go up to eventually 340 grit, getting it all smoothed over. So that's where I'm at so far. You can see it's all cut too big on purpose because that allows you to bring it down to the wood. Bring the wood down to the metal to get the right size. Okay, I'll be back. Alright, I'm working it down to the wood. The wood down to flush with the metal. Looks like a couple of spots in the metal that are maybe dinged or something. And I'm not done with it. I've still got to come across the spine. But it's getting there. See how much it's got to come off. It's getting there. Alright, well, John Caps, I can't thank you enough. I really love it. I love it. I love it. I learned a few things. You do want to tape the handle to keep the epoxy off. Now I'm going to have to try to chemically remove that or something, I don't know. And then Feels good in your hand, I'll tell you what. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Look at that. I think I just need to put some boiled linseed oil on the handle now, the wood, to protect it. It feels really good. Just a little bit more right here, and I think she's done. Love it. John Caps, thank you very much, brother. If y'all haven't seen John Caps' channel, it's a good one. He shows how to make Kydex holsters, which he also sent me a piece of Kydex, and that'll be an upcoming video. It shows a lot of useful info on that channel. Thank you, brother.